name's Sandy Papala. It's pronounced Papala, not Papala, Papala. So, today we have Dr. Bob, or I call him Bobby. He is older than Abraham Lincoln, and we're going to talk to him with some questions. He doesn't have a choice. We're going to ask him some questions.
I'm Dr. Bob. Hi.
When did Mesopotamia become a civilization?
Around 5000 BC.
What was your geography like? Man, you're old.
Mesopotamia is located inside a region called the Fertile Crescent. Mesopotamia has many rivers and lakes. It is located between two rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates. South Mesopotamia is flat and barren, while North Mesopotamia is fertile with seasonal rain. Actually, they're both fertile, but you know.
Who were the major rulers and how did they become to power? Power!
I got that power. Gilgamesh. He was the first king of Mesopotamia around 2000 BC. He had people build the first walled city in Mesopotamia. He became a hero and was in many legends. Next king, Hammurabi. He ruled in Babylon 1792 to 1750 BC. He made the first written set of laws. And the laws, they were written on a 6-foot-high stone. Next king, Sin. He ruled from 2260 to 2223 BC. He was the first king to claim he was a god. A famous victory stele was created to honor him in a city. Ashurnasirpal. Can't pronounce that. And he was the second. He succeeded his father and became king of Assyria in 886 BC.
Oh, explain Hammurabi's code.
Created the first written set of laws. They were written on a 6-foot-high stone tablet. It didn't matter if you were very rich or very poor. If you committed a crime and were found guilty, you were punished. If laws were written down, you were expected to follow them. Some parts said
Some of the major inventions that Mesopotamians used.
some of the major inventions that the Mesopotamians used is the wheel, the first written language called cuneiform, I think that's what it's called, cylinder seal,
What the heck is that?
and the game of checkers.
Ooh, I enjoy.
Cylinder seals, that's what you were asking, were used to seal letters and documents. The ancient Sumerians believed in education.
That's very cool. Give us a timeline of when the following civilizations came to or ruled Mesopotamia.
The Sumerians first ruled around 5000 BC. About 2330 BC, the Attican Empire conquers the Sumerians and are now the rulers. At 1900 BC, the Assyrians rise to power, and about 1792 BC, Hammurabi becomes king of Babylon and takes over a lot of Mesopotamia.
Tell us more.
I will. Then around 1750 BC, the Assyrians take over again. The Persian Empire begins around 550 BC when they take over. Dude, it's an episode! I will never be royal!
Hi, I'm Sandy Papala. Today we're talking about ancient Egypt!
Now interviewing Sandy Papala. I have some questions for her about ancient Egypt. Explain the daily life. What were the clothes that they wore? What did the families do?
Daily life in ancient Egypt revolved around the Nile and the land around it. They had homes built of mud brick, and they often brewed their own food and traded by nearby villages for food and goods. Most people worked as field hands, farmers, scribes, and craftsmen. Most people wore white shawls. Families grew food and took care of each other. Yeah!
How did they create and use temples and pyramids?
Pyramids and temples were made out of big stones stacked together to form pyramids and temples. Temples were believed by homes of gods and goddesses. Every temple was dedicated to a certain god or goddess. Pyramids were used for tombs and pharaohs and their queens married.
Practiced their religion. What were their major beliefs? Go.
Oh, sorry. Oh, now you're loud. They practiced their religion by mummificating bodies, worshiping gods, and many other things. They practiced their religion by dancing for gods and mummifying people with their things, so in the afterlife they had all their things.
How did they practice mummification?
This is how they practiced their mummification. The earliest Egyptians buried the dead in pits in the sand. Later, they started to cover the people in linen and put them in coffins. They usually buried people with their possessions so they could bring them into the afterlife. When kings died and were mummified, the servants went to grave with him because they believed the king could not take care of himself in the afterlife.
What were hieroglyphics? Give us an example of a message.
You're done?
Hieroglyphics were a type of writing that helped them write things down. Here is an example.
Major pharaohs of the time.
The major pharaohs of the times were Pepi II, Hespet, a woman whose husband died and she took over as king. Thutmose III, Amenhotep III, Akhenaten, Ramses II, Merenptah, and Ramesses III. The end?
The end?
The end? The end? Oh yeah. Here are the credits now. We would like to thank Dr. Bob.
iTunes, that's the only one.
We're sorry about that. Dr. Bob is now in the hospital.
What? No, I'm not.
We would also like to thank iTunes and Sandy
We already
Papala.
thanked iTunes, man.
We also like to thank Sandy Papala.